I stood in our kitchen on Christmas Eve, staring at the turkey I'd spent 3 hours preparing. The golden skin glistened under the overhead lights, perfect and untouched, just like everything else in this house that Ryan no longer seemed to see. "Ryan, do you like the decorations?" I called out, my voice echoing through the living room where twinkling lights cast warm shadows across perfectly wrapped presents. Yeah, looks great," he muttered without looking up from his laptop. I gripped the edge of the counter. That was it. That was all I got after spending an entire day transforming our home into a Christmas wonderland. 3 years of marriage. And somewhere along the way, I'd become invisible. He worked constantly, his eyes always on that screen, his mind always somewhere else. When I told him about my day, he'd nod with that distant expression that meant he wasn't really listening. We hadn't had sex in 2 months. 2 months. I felt like a roommate paying half the mortgage in a house that no longer felt like home. My phone buzzed on the counter. Marcus's name lit up the screen. "Hey, Emma. Long time. I'm in town for the holidays. Mind if I drop by tomorrow with a gift? Would love to catch up." I stared at that message for a long time. Marcus. My ex from college. The one who used to look at me like I was the only person in the world. The one whose attention had felt like sunlight on my skin. My fingers moved before my brain caught up. "Sure. Come by around 2. We're having Christmas dinner." That night, I lay beside Ryan in our bed, feeling the cold space between us like an ocean. He'd kissed my forehead a habit, nothing more, and rolled over, asleep within minutes. I stared at the ceiling, my heart pounding with something dangerous and reckless. I would make him feel what I'd been feeling. I would make him care. Marcus arrived at 2 o'clock sharp, and I hated how my stomach flipped when I opened the door. He looked good, too good in his leather jacket and dark jeans, that photographer's casual elegance I remembered so well. "Emma," he grinned, holding up an expensive bottle of wine. "You look amazing." "Marcus, thanks for coming." I stepped aside to let him in, catching Ryan's approach from the kitchen. "Ryan, this is Marcus. We went to college together. Marcus, my husband, Ryan." Ryan extended his hand with that polite smile he reserved for strangers. "Nice to meet you. Thanks for the wine." "Nothing." I searched Ryan's eyes for anything suspicion, curiosity, jealousy, and found absolutely nothing. Just courteous indifference. My blood boiled. "Everyone's in the dining room," Ryan said, already turning away. "We're about to start." The table was full. Daniel, Ryan's older brother, sat with his wife Amy at one end. Jessica, my best friend since high school, had brought her new boyfriend Tom. And now Marcus, sliding into the seat directly across from me. "This looks incredible, Emma," Marcus said as I brought out the turkey. "You always were an amazing cook." "Thanks," I smiled, glancing at Ryan. He was passing the potatoes to Daniel, completely unbothered. "So, Marcus, what do you do?" Amy asked politely. "I'm a photographer. Mostly travel and lifestyle work. Just got back from Iceland, actually." "Oh, how exciting," Jessica said, but her eyes found mine with a warning I chose to ignore. "Emma and I used to talk about traveling together back in college," Marcus continued, his gaze warm on my face. "Remember that road trip to Big Sur? I remember you getting us lost for 3 hours." I laughed, louder than necessary. Ryan asked Tom about his job. My husband didn't even acknowledge Marcus's story. Just kept the conversation flowing around me like I wasn't systematically trying to get a rise out of him. "Your dress is beautiful, Emma," Marcus said. "That color always looked great on you." "Thank you," I said, watching Ryan butter his bread with steady hands. Jessica kicked me under the table. I kicked back. Dinner dragged on with Marcus complimenting everything. My cooking, my laugh, the way I decorated the house. Ryan passed dishes, told a funny story about work, asked Daniel about his kids. He was the perfect host, perfectly content, perfectly oblivious, or perfectly indifferent. I couldn't tell which was worse. "I'll help you clear," Marcus offered as everyone migrated to the living room after dessert. My heart hammered as we carried plates to the kitchen. This was it. The mistletoe I'd hung that morning dangled above the sink, deliberate and waiting. From the living room, I heard Ryan's laugh, easy, relaxed, unbothered. Something inside me snapped. "Marcus," I whispered. He turned, and I grabbed his collar and kissed him. Hard. Deliberately. Positioning us so anyone walking by would see exactly what we were doing. For 3 seconds, maybe 4, I lost myself in the vindictive satisfaction of it. Then I opened my eyes and saw Ryan standing in the doorway, a glass of wine in his hand. I expected shouting. I expected him to storm over, to demand explanations, to finally show some emotion. Instead, Ryan just stood there, His face was completely blank, not angry, not hurt, just empty. Our eyes met, and in those 3 seconds that felt like 3 hours, I saw something in him shut down completely. Then he turned around and walked back to his guests, just like that, like nothing had happened. "I should go," Marcus mumbled, his face pale. "This was a mistake. I'm sorry, Emma." He grabbed his jacket and disappeared so fast I barely registered his exit. I stood frozen in the kitchen, my heart pounding with a panic I hadn't anticipated. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. He was supposed to care. He was supposed to fight for me. "Emma." I spun around to find Jessica in the doorway, her expression somewhere between fury and disbelief. "What the hell was that?" Her voice shook. "What were you thinking?" "I don't know," I whispered. You just what? Kissed your ex in front of everyone to get your husband's attention?" She stepped closer, her voice dropping. "That's not okay, Emma. That's cruel. He doesn't even care," I said desperately. "Did you see his face? He just walked away. Because you humiliated him in his own home," Jessica hissed. "What did you expect him to do? Cause a scene? That's not who Ryan is. And you know it." She left me standing there, returning to the living room where I could hear Ryan laughing at something Daniel said, playing the gracious host, acting like his wife hadn't just kissed another man 20 feet away. The next hour was torture. I tried to help clean up, but everyone seemed to move around me, conversations dying when I approached. Daniel's wife gave me a look that could freeze fire. Jessica's boyfriend looked uncomfortable every time our eyes met. And Ryan was perfect. Charming, attentive to our guests, asking questions and telling stories. He didn't look at me once. Finally, everyone left. Jessica hugged me at the door, but it felt obligatory. "Call me when you're ready to be honest with yourself," she said quietly. Then it was just us. Me and Ryan and the wreckage of our Christmas dinner. "Ryan, I'll get these," he said, gathering plates like I hadn't spoken. "Ryan, please. We need to talk about what happened. Do we?" He kept moving, carrying dishes to the sink, loading the dishwasher with mechanical precision. "Ryan, look at me." My voice cracked. He paused, his hands gripping the edge of the counter, his back still to me. "Please say something," I begged. "Yell at me. Tell me you're angry. Something." The silence stretched so long I thought he wouldn't respond. Then, in a voice so quiet I almost missed it, "There's nothing to say, Emma. You made your choice." He walked past me toward the stairs, and that's when real panic set in. Not guilt. Not remorse. Pure, selfish panic that I'd finally pushed him too far. Ryan slept in the guest room. I lay awake in our bed, replaying that blank expression over and over. The emptiness in his eyes. The way he'd simply turned away. I'd wanted a reaction. But not this. Not silence. Not this terrible, crushing emptiness. Morning light filtered through the curtains, and I heard movement downstairs. I found Ryan in our bedroom, packing a suitcase. "Where are you going?" My voice came out strangled. "My brother's place. I need space to think." "Ryan, no, please." I grabbed his arm. "It was a stupid mistake. I wasn't thinking. I just wanted you to notice me." He finally looked at me. Really looked at me. And what I saw in his eyes broke something inside my chest that I didn't know could break. Disappointment. Not anger. Not betrayal. Just profound, bone-deep disappointment. "I've always noticed you, Emma." His voice was steady, but I could hear the pain underneath. "Every single day. I work hard because I'm building a future for us. I'm quiet because I'm tired, not because I don't care. I know But you?" He pulled his arm free gently. "You deliberately hurt me to get attention. You kissed another man in our home, in front of our family and friends, to make me jealous. That's not love, Emma, that's cruelty. It wasn't like that. What was it like then?" He zipped his suitcase with finality. "Explain it to me. Make me understand why my wife thought manipulating me was better than just talking to me." I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. Because he was right. He was completely, devastatingly right. I'm done, Emma. I'm done trying to be enough for someone who will never be satisfied. The door closed behind him with a soft click that sounded like a gunshot. I collapsed on the floor, my chest heaving with sobs I couldn't control. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. I'd wanted him to fight for me, to show me he cared. Instead, I'd shown him I didn't. My phone rang. "Jessica." He left. I choked out. He packed a bag and left. "Emma." Her voice was gentle but firm. "What did you expect would happen?" "I don't know," I thought. You thought he'd get jealous and suddenly become the man you wanted him to be. But Emma, he already was that man. You just couldn't see it. That's not fair. You kissed your ex in front of everyone to manipulate your husband. What part of that is fair? I had no answer. For the first time since this nightmare started, I had absolutely no defense. I messed up, I whispered. Yeah, Jessica said softly. You really did. The week between Christmas and New Year's was torture. Ryan wouldn't answer my calls. On the third day, I called Daniel's house and he picked up. Daniel, please. I need to talk to Ryan. He doesn't want to talk to you, Emma. His voice was ice. My brother is done being taken for granted. I wasn't. Yeah, you were. For years. And now you're shocked he finally had enough? The line went dead. I went to work because staying home meant drowning in my thoughts. But I couldn't focus. I made mistakes on client presentations, forgot meetings, stared at my computer screen without seeing anything. Everything okay? Sophie, my colleague, asked carefully during lunch. I wanted to lie. I wanted to say everything was fine, but the truth spilled out like water from a broken dam. The kiss, Ryan's silence, him leaving, the divorce looming between us like an executioner's blade. Sophie's expression shifted from sympathy to something harder. Judgment. You did what? She set down her fork. Emma, that's... Wow. I don't even know what to say. I know it was wrong. Wrong? Emma, you publicly humiliated your husband in his own home. What did you think would happen? Even people who barely knew Ryan were on his side. That realization hit me like cold water. Because they were right. They were all right. I started seeing our marriage through everyone else's eyes and hated what I saw. Ryan had always been thoughtful. He left notes in my lunch bag with smiley faces and, "Have a great day." He filled my car with gas without me asking. He remembered my coffee order, my favorite flowers, the anniversary of the day we met. I'd interpreted his quiet nature as indifference when it was actually contentment. He'd been happy. I was the one who wasn't. And instead of communicating, instead of being an adult and talking about my feelings, I detonated our entire relationship. My phone buzzed. Marcus. I feel really bad about what happened. I shouldn't have come over. I'm sorry, Emma. His guilt made me angrier at myself. I'd used him too, as a prop in my toxic game. He'd been a weapon I'd wielded against a man who'd done nothing but love me. On New Year's Eve, I drove to Daniel's house. I'd tried calling, texting, emailing. Ryan ignored everything. So I showed up, desperate and pathetic, and rang the doorbell. Caroline, Ryan's mother, answered. The warmth she'd always shown me was gone, replaced by cold disappointment. Emma, Mrs. Torres, please, I need to see Ryan. I need to explain. He's not here. She crossed her arms. And honestly, Emma, I don't think you should be either. Please, I just need 5 minutes. My son deserves better. Her voice was quiet but sharp as a knife. Better than someone who humiliates him in his own home on Christmas. Better than someone who plays games with his heart. I liked you, Emma. I really did. But after what you did, she shook her head. He deserves so much better. She closed the door in my face. I sat in my car in their driveway and cried until I couldn't breathe, until my chest ached and my throat was raw. Somewhere inside that house was the man I'd married, the man I'd destroyed, and I couldn't reach him. I'd lost him. And it was entirely my fault. The papers arrived in mid-January, delivered in a manila envelope that felt like a death sentence. Petition for dissolution of marriage. I stared at them on the kitchen table, my hands shaking. Ryan wasn't asking for anything. No alimony, no drawn-out negotiations, no splitting of assets. He just wanted out, wanted to be free of me. I called Jessica, sobbing. He's divorcing me, Jess, it's really over. She sighed, and I could picture her rubbing her temples. Emma, what did you think would happen? You publicly betrayed him. Some things can't be fixed with apologies, but I love him. Do you? Or do you love the idea of him? The security? Because love doesn't look like what you did. Her words stung because they were true. I'd treated Ryan like an accessory to my life, something that was supposed to make me feel good. And when he didn't perform that function, I'd lashed out. I have to try, I said. I have to make him understand. Emma. I hung up and looked up Ryan's office address. I'd been there once, years ago. But I remembered the building. Glass and steel downtown, overlooking the river. I showed up at 4 in the afternoon and waited in the lobby. Security eyed me suspiciously, but I sat there for 3 hours, watching the elevators until finally, I saw him. Ryan looked thinner, tired, but also somehow lighter. like he'd put down a burden he'd been carrying for too long. Emma, don't do this. He stopped when he saw me, his expression weary. I love you. The words burst out of me. Ryan, I love you. Please don't give up on us. Do you? His question hung in the air between us. Do you love me, Emma? Because love isn't playing games. Love isn't manipulation. You wanted to hurt me, and congratulations. You succeeded. But I won't stay in a marriage where I'm a pawn in your emotional chess match. I didn't mean. You did mean it. He held up his hand. You hung that mistletoe in the kitchen? You invited your ex? You made sure I'd see? You wanted me to feel small and jealous and insecure? You got exactly what you wanted. No, I've spent 3 years trying to be enough for you, Emma. Working hard, building a future, loving you the best way I know how. And it was never enough. You always wanted more. Louder, bigger. You wanted drama. Well, I don't have that in me. I'm done trying. He walked past me toward the exit, and I stood there frozen, his words echoing in my head. I'd never asked Ryan what he needed from me. I'd only demanded what I wanted from him, and now it was too late. My life fell apart in slow motion, piece by piece, like watching a building collapse in reverse. At work, Mr. Harrison called me into his office on a Tuesday. Emma, your performance has declined dramatically. He leaned back in his chair, his expression concerned but firm. The Morrison account is unhappy. You missed 3 deadlines last week. I need you focused. Or we'll need to reconsider your position. I understand, I said numbly. I'm sorry. I'll do better. But I couldn't do better. My marriage was ending, and I couldn't focus on anything else. Friends started distancing themselves. Not dramatically, nobody sent angry texts or unfriended me on social media. They just slowly faded. Stopped inviting me places. Took longer to respond to messages. Jessica was the only one who still answered my calls, but even she was losing patience. You need therapy, Emma. Her voice was gentle but exhausted. You need to figure out why you sabotaged your own happiness. I know. I whispered. I know I do. But I was too paralyzed by regret to move forward. Too consumed by what I'd lost to think about getting help. I started driving past Daniel's house. I knew it was crazy. Knew it was borderline stalking, but I couldn't help myself. I needed to see Ryan, even from a distance. One Saturday afternoon, I saw him leaving the house. And he wasn't alone. A woman walked beside him. Pretty, dressed simply in jeans and a sweater, laughing at something he'd said. He opened the car door for her, something he'd always done for me, and they drove away. The jealousy that ripped through me was ironic and deserved. This was what I'd wanted him to feel. This poisonous, consuming jealousy. And now I understood how terrible it was. I called Sophie that night, desperate for information. Do you know anything about Ryan seeing someone? Emma. She said carefully. I don't think that's healthy. Please, I just need to know. She sighed. I heard from Michelle, who heard from someone in his office. He's been seeing a therapist. Her name's Lisa. I think she's helping him work through everything. Of course he was in therapy, dealing with his pain in the healthiest way possible. Meanwhile, I was stalking his brother's house like a ghost, haunting her own bad decisions. Emma, you need to let him go. I can't, I whispered, but I had to. Because every day he was moving forward, and I was stuck in the wreckage I'd created. In February, I went to the one place I thought might help, the church where Ryan and I had gotten married. Street Marys looked different in winter, cold and quiet. Snow covering the grounds where we'd taken our wedding photos. I slipped into a pew near the back and cried, not caring if anyone saw. Child, are you all right? I looked up to find Father Miguel, the priest who'd married us, settling into the pew beside me. Father, The words caught in my throat. Tell me, he said gently, whatever's troubling you. So I told him everything. The loneliness, the kiss, Ryan's silence, the divorce. I didn't make excuses. Didn't try to paint myself as a victim. I just laid out the truth in all its ugly reality. Can God forgive something like this? I asked when I'd finished. God forgives all true repentance, Father Miguel said. But Emma, the question isn't whether God forgives you. It's whether you can forgive yourself. And whether Ryan can heal from what you did. I don't know how to live with it, I admitted. I destroyed the best thing in my life. Then start by accepting the consequences, he said. Forgiveness isn't erasure. You hurt someone deeply. That has weight. Carry it with humility, learn from it, and become better. I signed the divorce papers that night. My hands shook as I wrote my name, making it official, making it real. The next week, someone knocked on my apartment door. I opened it to find Grace, Ryan's younger sister, standing there with an expression I couldn't read. Grace? What are you? I came to say something Ryan won't. She stepped inside without invitation. You broke my brother's heart, Emma. But what's worse is you broke his trust. I know. No, I don't think you do. Her voice was sharp. Ryan gave you everything. He worked himself exhausted to build a life for you. He loved you quietly, completely, without asking for anything in return. And you treated him like he was nothing. Like his love wasn't enough because it wasn't loud or dramatic enough for you. Like tears streamed down my face. I know I did. I hope you learn from this. Grace's expression softened slightly. I really do. Because the next person you're with deserves better than what you gave Ryan. He deserves better. He always did. After she left, I looked around my apartment, half empty because Ryan had taken his things. His books were gone from the shelf. His coffee mug was missing from the cabinet. The photos we'd taken together were packed away because I couldn't stand to look at them. I'd had everything, and I'd destroyed it, chasing a feeling that was never missing. Ryan had loved me quietly, steadily, without drama, and I'd mistaken peace for indifference. Spring arrived, and I was still picking up pieces of my broken life. The divorce was finalized in March. I saw Ryan one last time at the courthouse. He was polite, distant, accompanied by Daniel. He'd moved on in every way that mattered, and I was still stuck in December. I'm sorry, I said when we signed the final papers. For everything. I know, Ryan said quietly. Take care of yourself, Emma. That was it. Our marriage ended with a signature and a polite goodbye. I heard through the gossip chain that he was dating Lisa seriously now. The therapist had become more than just a counselor. They'd been seen together at restaurants, at the movies, at the park where Ryan and I used to walk on Sundays. I felt jealous at first. That old poisonous feeling rising up. Then I realized I had no right to that emotion. I'd given up my claim to Ryan's future the moment I kissed Marcus under that mistletoe. I started therapy myself. Finally. Dr. Chen asked me hard questions I didn't want to answer. Why did you need external validation so badly that you'd destroy your marriage? I didn't have good answers. Just broken patterns I'd never examined. I'd wanted to be chosen loudly instead of loved quietly. I'd confused Ryan's calm devotion with indifference. I'd been so focused on what I wasn't getting that I'd never appreciated what I had. He used to leave me notes. I told Dr. Chen during one session. In my lunch. Just little things like, have a great day, or thinking of you. I thought they were corny. I didn't realize they were love. Jessica told me Ryan was moving to Seattle for a job opportunity. Fresh start, she said. Good for him. It was good for him. He deserved happiness, peace, someone who wouldn't weaponize his love against him. I sold our house. Too many memories, too many ghosts. I moved to a smaller apartment across town and started rebuilding from scratch. Some days were better than others. Some days I could breathe without feeling like my chest was caving in. Other days, I'd see a couple holding hands and have to pull over because I was crying too hard to drive. But I was learning. Slowly, painfully, I was learning. It's been a year since that Christmas. I still think about it every day, the look on Ryan's face, the silence that said more than shouting ever could. I ran into Marcus once at a coffee shop downtown. He looked uncomfortable, apologetic. Emma, hey, I'm really sorry about. It's not your fault, I said honestly. I used you as a weapon in a war that only existed in my head. He nodded, relieved. I heard about the divorce. I'm sorry. Me too. I'm dating someone new now. His name is David, and he's nothing like Ryan. He's loud, expressive, dramatic in all the ways I thought I wanted. But when he does something thoughtful, brings me coffee, remembers an important meeting, I notice. I say thank you. I don't take it for granted. When he's quiet, I don't assume he doesn't care. I ask him what he's thinking. I communicate like an adult, instead of playing games. I've learned that love isn't about grand gestures or constant validation. Sometimes love looks like someone working late to build a future, like gas in your car tank without being asked, like contentment instead of chaos. I destroyed my marriage because I didn't recognize it as the greatest gift I'd ever received. Ryan never took me for granted. I took him for granted. His silence that Christmas night wasn't indifference. It was dignity. It was a man realizing he deserved better than being someone's emotional punching bag. I hope he's happy in Seattle. I hope Lisa appreciates his quiet strength, his steady heart, his capacity to love without needing applause. I hope she sees what I was too blind to see. As for me, I'm learning. I'm growing. I'm carrying the weight of my choices with humility. Some mistakes can't be undone. Some marriages can't be saved. But the lessons, those, I'll carry forever. I kissed my ex to make my husband jealous. His silence ended our marriage. And in that silence, I finally heard the truth I'd been ignoring all along. I'd had everything. And I'd thrown it away with both hands. And